Hey, what's up? We're going to be going over solving trig functions without using a calculator. So let's go ahead and get started. So in this problem, we're being asked to evaluate the functions without a calculator. Secant of 135 will be our first one. First thing we're going to want to do is graph this on an xy plane. Okay, 135 degrees is more easily seen if we label all of our corners. All right. So we can see that secant 135 degrees is going to land somewhere in this second quadrant here. So let's go ahead and already create our 90 degree. And how much more than 90 degree do we have to go in order to get to 135? We'll have to go 45 degrees more. Okay, when we create this line. So this is 135 degrees. How much is this portion? And why do we even want this portion? We want this angle here because it is the reference angle. It is the angle between this line to the nearest x-axis. This is the nearest x-axis. This is the line. So this is our reference angle. If this whole thing has to be 180, then that means this is forced to be 45 degrees, like that. Okay. And then the next step of this is to create a right triangle based off of this. So if this is 45, this has to be 45, and this is 90 here. Okay. So you should have memorized, or at least have a reference to the proportions of a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And those are root 2, 1, and 1, like that. But we need to have the direction on this triangle. So you see root 2, hypotenuse is always positive. But these have to be both 1. But you see this 1 is positive in the y. So it's going to be a positive 1. You see this 1 is actually negative in the x. So this is actually going to be negative 1 like that. So when you evaluate secant of 135, is the same as evaluating secant of 45, the reference angle of this proportioned triangle. So secant, if we know from SOHCAHTOA, ka is cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So we know that secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So secant of 135 degrees will be the hypotenuse over adjacent of this triangle. So this is the hypotenuse, and the adjacent is this. So it will be root 2 over negative 1. And this is the answer to this problem. Let's go ahead and do this second one, cosecant of negative 420 degrees. So we're going to start out doing the exact same thing with drawing our axis. And this will be 0 degrees. This will be 90 degrees. This will be 180 degrees. This will be 270 degrees. So this problem is different because there's a negative here in the angle. So the way we go about that is, instead of going counterclockwise around the circle, we're going to be going clockwise around the circle. So negative 420, if you notice, is more than negative 360 degrees. So if we went negative 360 degrees, you wouldn't even be at negative 420 yet. So you have to go an additional degrees in order to get to where we want. So you can almost ignore going around once in a circle and find out what the remaining degree is that we need to go. So if we've gone negative 360 degrees, how much more do we need to go to get to negative 420? Well, we need to go an additional negative 60 degrees. So this, even though being negative 60 degrees, remember the whole goal of this is to find the reference angle, the angle between this line and the nearest x-axis. So we are actually going to just call this 60 degrees like that and create a right triangle out of this. So if this is 60 degrees and this is a right triangle, this has to be 30 degrees. And again, the proportions of our special right triangles, the 30, 60, 90, we should have memorized. So those will be, the hypotenuse will be 2. The small leg, the one across from 30 degrees, will be 1. And notice that it's a positive 1. Remember, the sign matters. So this is in the positive x direction, so it's a positive 1. The hypotenuse is always positive. And the one opposite from the 60 degrees will be root 3. But notice this is a negative y. You see how it's going down? So this will be a negative root 3, like that. Okay, so if we know cosecant from SOHCAHTOA is the reciprocal of sine. So if sine is so, opposite over hypotenuse, then cosecant is going to be hypotenuse over opposite. So it will be hypotenuse over the opposite. Okay, so let's write that out. Cosecant of negative 420 degrees is equal to 2 over negative root 3. All right? We have to rationalize the denominator, so we're going to multiply this by root 3 over root 3, like this, so that the root 3 times root 3 becomes just 3. So this will be negative 2 root 3 over 3. And this is the answer to the problem. Great. See you in the next one.